Welcome to Worlds Collide, a wrestling card podcast for wrestling fans by wrestling fans, featuring Tony Vella from WrestlingTradingCards.com.
This is like a stock market.
And Zhan Morning from Wrestling with Cards on YouTube. And I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer, I'm just posing the question. Join them as they navigate the world of wrestling cards, helping you build a bigger and better collection and making some money along the way. What is up, wrestling fans and trading card collectors? That's what we're here for. Worlds Collide. Tony Vella, WrestlingTradingCards.com. Myself from Jabronis R Us. Oh, wait, I mean Wrestling with Cards on YouTube.
No, I don't hook up with jabronis.
Okay, fair enough. Fair point. All right. So, Tony, I'm going to spit some names out here at you. 52 Mantle, 86 Fleer Jordan, 79 OPG Wayne Gretzky, T206 Honus Wagner. These are all very iconic cards. How does that apply to wrestling?
Oh, boy. Well, that should be, for those of us who've been in the market or in the hobby for a long time, that should be pretty clear, I would think. But I'm assuming that we're going to be talking about this particular thing for a lot of people who are probably just getting into the hobby.
Yeah, I think I still field questions all the time. People actually, just while we were recording a minute ago, guy reached out on Twitter. He's like, "Hey, I just watched your video with Gelman. You just convinced me to buy WWE Prism." And I'm like, you know what? That's exactly what we're here to do. Just educate, get information out there, whether you agree with us, disagree. Again, giving perspective and information. So today, as the title suggests, we're going to talk about iconic wrestling cards and sets. What does iconic mean? To me, iconic is the cards I just named. You know, the Fleer Jordan, the 52 Mantle, 79 OPG, of course, that Honus Wagner card, and there's much more out there. But these are cards that they can fit in anyone's collection. They're just they transcend almost trading cards themselves into pieces of art or being iconic images for whatever reason. Maybe you're going to look at this from an investment standpoint, and these are like your Amazon stock or your Apple stock. Like, I hate to put it that way because, you know, I definitely like to collect the cards, but we can't deny the monetary value of these things.
Of course.
So that's just why I wanted to compare those to those stocks. So we're going to talk about some cards and sets today that I feel personally can fit in anyone's collection, whether maybe you're a fan of them, I would hope, or maybe it's an era you grew up with. Maybe it's a specific set from an organization from a time period that got you into wrestling or sends you back to that time when you were growing up as a kid. There's just so many different reasons, but that's what we're talking about today. Have I missed anything on this opening intro, Tony?
I don't think you missed anything, but I don't even know if it's necessarily about that would fit in anybody's collection because everybody collects differently. But I think these are what we're going to cover here today is probably things that people should know about that are the most recognizable things within our hobby.
Good point.
That maybe you don't want to collect that. It doesn't want to be in your collection. But these are all the names you gave are like the pinnacle, as where in the majority of people's minds, the pinnacle of that particular genre of trading cards. And we have some of those things in wrestling cards too, for those who are just getting into this hobby for the first time, coming back after a long time and just like, hey, what have I missed? I think we're going to try and cover some of the things that we think and feel, and again, your list may change and may be different, that whether you want it in your collection or not, these are our Gretzkys. These are our, Mantles. These are our, all the names, Jordans like that. So, I think that's important to know these things. Maybe these are things that you want to achieve and your goals. Who knows?
And it's a good thing you said that. I also want to I'm not going to retract what I said, but I still think they're good in anybody's collection, but maybe that's because looking at it from a value perspective, maybe you don't collect them, but if you know these things, you could maybe buy them or trade for them and then sell them and then buy what you do want to collect.
Sure, absolutely. These holy grails within our hobby could maybe be not a holy grail to you, but a stepping stone for you to get to something that is considered holy grail for you. Not even in this hobby. Maybe you want to buy a house or a car or something.
Yeah, some of these could do that, I think, at some point.
Yep.
let's kick it off. Obviously, this is probably a no-brainer for many, but I'm going to talk about the big three of the 82 All-Stars:
Yep.
Hogan, Flair, Andre. Um, whether or not they're a rookie card, that's still debated, but the market's kind of decided that these are the cards to own of these three guys. What do you think?
Yep. 100%. I mean, the whole set itself. I mean, I know we have our notes and stuff like that, how we want to discuss this like that, but I think it's okay to cross between each one.
Sure.
Is that okay? Or
Yeah.
And I think that those three cards they stand out on their own, obviously, but they should be lumped in with those particular sets as well. All three of those sets, because those three are all iconic sets within our hobby. Those are really kind of compared to as the 52, tops like that. So they're crucial. They're important in our hobby. Whether you're someone who just thinks they don't have any eye appeal to them or not, or if you think that they're not attractive, they are what they are though in our hobby. They are from a time frame in the hobby itself, in the industry itself, that was definitely simpler. They were, obviously not meant and created. I don't think anything's really created. These cards back then are created like, I'm creating this card set with in mind that's going to be worth a lot of money someday.
Right.
It just happened to be that way because these are three iconic figures that you've just named, part of an iconic set that just sort of, became bigger than anybody ever expected it would be. And this is something that a lot of people, even some of our big time collectors don't have these cards in their collection because they didn't jump on it then thinking it'd always be around. And then it became a very popular and pricey thing for them. They're like, I don't have my set. I can't afford it right now. These are iconic, big time. These are the definition of iconic, 100%.
Yeah, and real quick, a couple caveats I want to say before we move on to the next one. And this may be a long show. I don't know, and that's fine. I hope strap in. We're full of information to hopefully entertain you guys. But I do want to say that there's a huge contingent of people out there. I'm gonna backtrack again. I need to be transparent. This is my favorite wrestling card set of all time. The reason it is I connect so much with wrestling history. A lot of these guys that I wasn't, they were either past their prime or I was like, an infant when they were wrestling still in the 80s. But when I go back and I watch wrestling from the 80s and from the 70s and some of the 60s, anything I could find online that I may have missed, there's just something magic about some of those eras and the angles and the storytelling that I just don't see in modern wrestling. I'm not one of the guys that craps on modern wrestling because I like all of it. I like a variety. It's like a buffet. But that's one reason I'm so dedicated to this set and why I love it so much. And that being said, there's a huge contingent out there that are sick of seeing these. They see them on social media all the time. Like it's the same plain card with the same plain design. And I get that perspective. We like, again, I like variety. You like variety. Everybody likes variety. But you can't deny the iconic stature of this set and the names that are in it. I'm sorry.
Correct.
It is the wrestling card set.
It is. 100% it is. It's just that the market's also dictated that. It may not be your wrestling card set, but as far as our hobby is concerned, it is the card set out there. And
one other thing I want to say too before we move on to the next one, I do have something planned for Patreon exclusive, and it's going to tie into this set as well as using wrestling cards to learn about wrestling history. That's all I'll say about that. Keep your eyes open for a possible trailer that I'm putting together on that, and maybe some Patreon exclusive stuff. So moving on, this is a personal pick of mine, but I know other people feel this way too. The 1994 action-packed Undertaker and Macho Man autographs is the first ever wrestling card pack pullable autographs. The first wrestling card. Well, I guess if you want to, do we want to count the Legends set that came out before this?
91 Imagines, but that's done only through a factory set.
So do we count that? I don't know.
Either you knew you were getting it or you didn't, depending on what kind of set you bought. There were three different versions of that set: a base set with no autographs, another set they had like 5 autographs, and then like the premium set that had all 8 autographs in it. I don't really qualify. I mean, even though those names are great, you got Captain Lou Albano and Bruno Sammartino and Lou Thez and Buddy Rogers. I mean, there's just legendary names. Killer Kowalski, Ivan Koloff. There's a lot of legendary names in there. But I would agree with you on this one. As far as a pack pulled autograph card, first time ever pack pulled autograph card, this is amazing 2 cards to have.
And the real caveat here to me, the autograph's nice. I love it. The serial numbering.
Yep.
It's the first ever wrestling card serial number card, and it's to 500. Modern collectors are going to say, "Oh, 500. That's that's like a Baron Corbin card now." Like there's tons of the. But what people don't understand is that go on eBay right now, go on any auction house, try to find some of these. There's not 500 of them out there.
No, because people who have them don't want to let them go, which is kind of the we've talked about so many times before in the past too, where it's, that's the thing with wrestling cards, that people don't like to let these things go. Once they've gotten that card, it's hard to find it again because they don't want to put them back out in the wild again. And that's what these cards too. There might be a serial number to 500, but first of all, that doesn't even say that all 500 have been found yet either, because there's still sealed product out there.
Right. Yeah, and I've got one of each, and they would be available for like life-changing money, but maybe I'm one of those guys that like I'm not gonna not sell it, but I also don't plan on selling it anytime soon. Transitioning into the next card I wanted to talk about, which is the same exact thing, and I'm so happy that I finally got one recently. And I know it might not be a huge card to some people, but to me, it took a lot of work to get to it, to just acquire one and then be able to have the funds or cards to trade into it to get it. 1998 Comic Images The Rock autograph, first pack pullable card and like one of the only cards that he's autographed ever
by redemption, sir. By redemption.
Oh, that's my mistake once again then.
It's by redemption.
I think I got that confused with the Scorpion King redemption.
That's also by redemption.
Okay. See, I was thinking Scorpion King was redemption, and then this one was pack pulled.
Now the Doom one, which is also the only one he signed, is Dwayne Johnson. The Doom one, I don't know if those were actually pack pullable or they were also by redemption. You're talking about an Inkworks product. Inkworks was also notorious for taking their higher end names and putting them by redemption. For the most part, the higher end names, but they would have a few others that because of whatever, they're getting them back in time kind of thing. But that set, The Rock was the only one from Scorpion King that was by redemption. I take that back. Brendan Fraser was too, I think. From Mummy Returns. But yeah, I mean, my redemption. You weren't going to buy a box of Scorpion King and then oh my God, I pulled a Rock autograph, because I know I pulled one. I pulled a redemption force like that. Sent it in. Sorry, we don't have any more. And again, be somebody else from Scorpion King.
Of course.
Yeah. I've come, then I came, years later, I came to understand and realize why that was. And the whole conspiracy.
Story for another day.
Story for another day. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a great card to have. I mean, it's iconic, man. It's just the biggest star on the planet.
If you want to take this from a nostalgia perspective, it's got that giant Raw is War banner in the background.
Oh yeah.
He's given the Samoan drop to Road Dogg. I mean, come on, that's just like straight up Attitude Era.
100%. And it's just it's a modern day holy grail for some people, I guess, in the sense that it's The Rock. I mean, come on, it's The Rock. He's the biggest superstar on the planet. And that's got nowhere to go but up, man.
These last 3 cards that we've talked, well, more than 3, but the last 3 kind of main topics we've talked about with these cards, I was so focused on those that Tony pointed out to me before we got started, you've got a major omission on the list. And that would be, we're going to tie in the sets with these cards. 2002 Flair Royal Rumble, of course. It's got the big 4 rookie cards. Batista, John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, or should I say Deacon Batista? I think it says
Deacon Batista. Yeah. And, but it's those 4 cards that drive the set, though. The set itself is it's a decently designed type of set, slight little bit of embossed type of feeling to it as well.
It's also one of those sets like the 06, which we'll probably talk about eventually. The 06 Heritage Chrome, which has like that one doesn't have big rookies, but it's like loaded with names. This one's also loaded with names. It's
loaded with names, but the key 4 are what drives this set. And I know that, Paul Anand from the Wrestling Card Price Guide, please, everybody, please visit that website.
Absolutely.
It's loaded with information and it will give you an idea, a guide as it's called, a price guide of, some values of cards like that. We keep a track of this for the last year now. We've been keeping track of this particular card set, and it is maintained and then made a little bit of a steady increase. It's around a $200 base set. For a base set of common cards, is around $200. And it's driven because of these 4 cards. And this is going to be the modern day equivalent to something of possibly an all-stars type of thing, where it's got 3-4 big names in it, with a lot of other talent. But 20, 30 years down the road from now, these are going to be super hard to come by.
Moving on to the next one. You could put this as an iconic set. It is from like a legacy branding standpoint. The set itself, I'm not the biggest fan of. 1985 tops, and of course we're talking about Hulk Hogan, card number 1. Many people consider this the rookie card because they want to go to the Beckett thing, and it's pack pulled. It didn't come out of a sealed set out of a magazine like the all, blah blah blah. We've heard.
Do you like card number 1 over card number 16 only because it's number 1? It's the same exact card,
yellow
with a different color background.
I also like the yellow because it just matches his gimmick a little bit more. Like, I know that's a very, very tiny, minuscule thing, but it's just something.
Doesn't matter. It's an interesting point, actually.
Yeah, it's the first card in the first set from WWF and Topps. We know that legacy, but again, yeah, the yellow background, it's a great image. Like, I just love this card. Clearly it's not the 82, but it's right there by it, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's a nice set. Overall, it's a nice set slide, but understandable for this card. Yeah.
1991. You know what we're going with: Merlin and classic Undertakers. You gotta have. It's like Pokemon. You got to catch them all because they're all cool. Like, okay, so maybe there's a couple of action shot ones that are just like so. But man, there's so many good Undertaker cards in both of these sets.
Yes, 100%. Love the sets. And then keep in mind though too, since you're talking about 91 classic, there's 2 versions of that set. There's the US version and the European version. So
well, and then you could also break down Merlin even further.
Well, Merlin's going to be English, Italian, and German. Right. So, but I sent a bunch of stuff to PSA of a lot of 91 Italian version of Merlin. I was surprised to see that the more popular one is German edition. Seems to be the most popular one that's on the PSA registry.
I think probably because those are the ones that are being able to be found a little bit more recently. Like, most of the singles that I have seem to be the German ones.
Yeah, most of mine are Italian. I mean, I have German and English as well, but most of the ones I have by far margin is Italian.
And the last kind of section of cards, and you'll understand why I'm saying this, is superfractors, which is kind of more of a modern thing we've seen in the last probably 15 years. And basically that's the 1-of-1, like gold vinyl, shiny stuff. And whether it's an auto or whether it's just the, base or whatever, superfractors have become like, go out there and you can find, well, for those of you who are unfamiliar, if you're new, superfractors are 1-of-1s. It's the only one out there, gold vinyl most of the time. Sometimes, they'll do a different parallel or whatever, but go out there and look at some of the mid-tier to low-tier talent in the WWE and look at what their superfractors are going for. It's really amazing. So, but when you stop and think about it, you're like, okay, well, it is 1-of-1. Like, it's the only one out there. Of course, it's going to bring a high price, but maybe like the superfractors themselves become almost like precious metal gems for basketball, where if you go out and you even buy some of the lower end, low bad condition, lower tier names in the basketball precious metal gems, several hundred to several $1,000s. Maybe that could be something with the superfractors we're already starting to see. I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, we've already seen the numbers kind of go up anyways. We've seen monster record-setting numbers and for wrestling cards because of superfractors. It's just even going back to the early 2006 Topps Chrome, Topps Chrome, shout out to Papa Bear. It's just those cards are going for crazy money now. That never used to be that way. But the age of parallels, when we first started doing podcasting, I was very clear, like, I don't like parallels. I don't like them because there's too many to chase after. And over this time, because of things like this, having these kind of conversations with other people, I've changed my tune over it. It's like that. I like the parallels now. And people are looking at parallel cards, no matter what level they are, whether it be there just by refractors, X fractors, super fractors, atomic fractor, whatever you want to call them. These things are outselling autograph cards, high-end, it doesn't matter what number they are on the autograph cards. They're doing really well because, it just seems to be I don't know if it's the cool thing now, or because there's no discrepancies or any controversy about like, well, did that person really sign that card? I don't want that kind of. I'd rather go over here and not have to worry about an autograph signature on there. And I don't like stickers anyways, kind of thing. So these super fractors and all fractors have become very popular.
It's also actually, it's a great point you brought that up. It's also actually a true scarcity to the item.
100%.
And you're not having somebody coming out here, oh, well, it's a pop one. Well, yeah, it's a pop one of something no one cares about. That's why it's a pop one, because no one else has graded it, because no one wants it.
On the flip side, these super fractors are one of ones. They already have built-in scarcity because they are one of one.
And they look amazing.
They look amazing. Absolutely.
Like, go ahead and give me all of your Ms. super fractors, because I'm the that's the thing. Like, I think we may get to a point where people start going after the super fractors of talent that they don't even care about, because like it's the rarity of the item and the card, and they know that like it's just got this collectability and attachment to it.
If I could pick up a super fractor of Dexter Loomis, I would totally would, because I guarantee you it's probably not getting this the love of other super fractors probably, but I still take it because I think that's going to go up.
Best example I can give you recently at the time of recording. And also I want to take 1 second to also say that if you guys are listening to these podcasts, well, first off, if you are listening, thank you. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe and tell somebody about the show. But me and Tony, as you guys know, are super, super busy, and we have to record these things in batches. So sometimes if you're listening to this and something seems out of date or it seems out of order, that's probably why. So I just wanted to put that out there. Now, that being said, at the time of recording, I've got a video coming out in 1 day about it. It's the Wrestling Card Market Watch for February of 2022. There's a Shotzi Blackheart Superfractor auto in there, almost $2,000. Shotzi Blackheart. She's got a fan base.
Yep.
But not like the top tier name that it's not a Charlotte Flair, it's not a Roman Reigns, but $2,000 is still pretty good for.
It's really good.
Yeah, so that tells you where the Superfractor market was going. But is there any other single cards of notes you can think of that maybe I have missed? I'm sure I have, and you guys listening could reach out to us on social media if you'd like and let us know where we're wrong, what your opinions are. But Tony, you got anything else?
I'm sure someone will probably point out like, well, you forgot about this one, and I mean that becomes personal favorites, I think. But I think this little short list we have here are probably, they've got to be the tops of iconic wrestling cards, and just about anybody's, who's done any kind of research or has been in this hobby at all for any extended period of time should know that these are probably the most iconic ones. I think I'm sure there's probably one or two we probably missed somewhere, but I'd be happy. This was the only list I was able to go off of. I'd be happy with this list.
Let's move on to sets. And the reason I say sets is Tony's talked about buying sets for his store. So people can come in that are new to wrestling cards or want to get back in, whatever it is. They can pick up a whole set from an era they grew up with. Maybe it's a modern set and it's for their kid, getting their kid in the way. There's so many different ways that I think complete sets can kind of be important or be gateways, whether it's nostalgia to get people back in. Maybe it's just getting people into wrestling cards, whatever it is. Sets are good for that. I know set collecting is not really as big of a deal nowadays as it used to be, but set registries are. That's something that we both seen rise in popularity of people trying to put together set registries. So something to think about as we talk about some of these sets. We already mentioned the All-Stars. We already mentioned the Fleer Royal Rumble 2002. Let's kick off with a controversial debate potentially right off the bat. Let's talk about 2006 Heritage Chrome and 2014 Chrome, which most people think is the first Chrome. And me and Tony are out here waving the flag like, nope, actually, there was one in 06.
Yep, one in 06, one in 07. Yeah. but kind of going back a little bit to set collectors and introducing people to sets to maybe become a bridge to something else. Set collecting or selling sets to people who've never collected wrestling cards, it might be the gateway for them to go into being a player collector. They bought a set, they found someone they like in that set. Now they have a base set that maybe they'll just pass on to somebody else. But you know what? I like this, John Morrison card in this set's like that. I'm going to go be a John Morrison collector going forward, kind of thing. So it could just parlay into something else entirely besides sets. But 06 and 14, I'm not as familiar with the 14 set only because it's past the time that I was heavily collecting. I know of it, obviously, in the key components of it's like that. But 06, I was really heavy, and I'm so happy to see that set actually getting some of the love that it kind of deserves. It's got a very nice look to it. And again, it's not chock with any rookies in it. There's no rookies in this set, like, an 02 Fleers like that. But it's got it's a who's who of legends in that set. I mean, you got Hogan, you got Flair, you got a whole legend subset. It is missing Andre. But I think it's got Superstar Billy Graham, $1 Million Man. It's got all these different people, and it's like that, and including The Rock and Stone Cold and John Cena and Batista. And it's just there's so many great names in that set, and it's starting to pick up, some steam at the time of this recording. So and I think it's going to continue to keep going.
Some of the complaints that I've heard against it is that they don't like the horizontal design.
Horizontal, horizontal. Come on. I mean,
okay.
I get it. I don't like vertical. I don't like horizontal. You know what?
I think that's a huge thing I've heard. The other thing is the lack of parallels, which I actually am the opposite. I think this is perfect because you've got refractor, X-fractor.
Well, yeah, you have a base chrome set,
right,
which in itself is also very cool to have.
Yes.
Okay. It's a flagship product of Topps. Okay, because it's Topps Chrome. And then you're going to have your refractors, like you said.
X-fractors. But then here's where it gets interesting is the superfractors.
Yes.
Because most modern, we just talked about the superfractors being one of ones, but in this set, they're out of 25. Although they look identical to modern day superfractors. They have the same like gold vinyl design thing.
Sure.
Very, very cool cards. And even the refractors, like these things are starting to get expensive. And I wonder if that's because there are actually less to collect than there are, with what we're going to see with Panini, and we've seen with Topps, where there's so many parallels of different guys.
I say by far, I believe this product line itself is going to be a lot less. And there's not a whole lot of sealed product to go out and find anymore of that product, if at all. And some guys didn't know, because Topps, some of those cards were hard to tell if you had a regular set or a refractor set. Like you knew you had an X-fractor, you knew that because it stood out completely. So unless you're like, unless I had the light on it and see that rainbow tint, but it also says refractor right across the back too, in very small font, mind you, very small font. Not to take away from the design of the back, but sometimes people would go and merge those in. Like I would go through and look at some sets. I used to have those sets in quantity.
Mm-hmm.
I would go through and find out, oh my God, I put a freaking Batista refractor inside this regular base set. I shouldn't do that. I have to swap it out.
Right.
That happens.
And I guess, we mentioned the 2014, which I can't, is that have the rookie class? Is that the Roman Reigns rookie?
It's got to be Roman Reigns, I believe. Roman,
I can't
Dean
get
Ambrose, Seth Rollins, I believe.
I get like 13, 14, and 15 jumbled up for some reason.
It's somewhere in that era right there. Yeah, I mean, those are the guys who are driving that product.
The big thing with this one, and I've heard multiple people talk about it, is the gold refractors. We've seen the, I guess, pardon the pun, but the gold rush on the gold refractors in like pretty much all chrome sets. And Hogan is in this one, and that's like his only gold chrome cart. It's the only gold refractor that he's got. So, and then we've heard, I believe Adam Gelman talked about how the 14 set was like produced way less than some of the other ones. And so that adds into it. But either one of these sets, like there's iconic names, there's legends, there's rookie cards. Well, not so much in the 06, but in the 14, there's a lot of cards that people like to chase after that are more modern. So anything else we missed that you think we should talk about with these chrome sets?
No, and I think it's all the Chrome sets, even the 07 Chrome from the Heritage 2. That's a beautiful design that's getting a lot of love as well these days because it's not horizontal, it's a vertical, and it's just it's got almost pretty much the same roster list from the year before. So pick your choice which one you want, 06 or 07. They're both great sets.
Now moving on to probably Tony's favorite set, and like there might be a little bit of like biasness to this, but the 1991 WCW Impel. I can already see.
Don't make fun of my with my print runs here, okay? People don't seem to mind that I just keep cranking them out because they're still gobbling them up.
And this is exactly why I want to talk about it.
Well, it's an iconic set because of design. I think it's an iconic set because of design. So many other independent card sets out there have parodied the set. Absolutely. There's so many people out there paying homage to this, from PWG to Outbreak Wrestling to Legends of Hamburg. There's all these different independent card sets out there that said, I love that Panini, that Impel set. And it's what I grew up on. I remember those times. I remember I watched WCW back then, early 91. I was a kid and I loved it. That's what I grew up on. It's iconic because of design.
It's technically the first year, if you don't count like the board game cards, the first year of WCW. It's their first cards. They had this and they had the market
championship marketing.
Championship marketing. Yeah. One interesting fact that kind of just drives home what you said is, again, at the time of recording, it's WrestleMania week. Steiner Brothers were just announced for the WWE Hall of Fame. And guess what was all over social media? Impel cards. All the Impel cards of the Steiners are just floating up my stream. I'm like, this, and that just, I knew we were going to be recording tonight. As I was seeing those, I'm like, yep, that's exactly why. I mean, you could consider there's a couple, I know there's one other name or two, I think, in there, but I know for a fact the Brian Pillman in this set, most people consider that his definitive rookie card or rookie year. So anything between this and championship marketing. But there's just iconic names. First WCW set, lots of cool. One of my favorite Ric Flair cards ever is in this. And you've got, I don't know that you want to count. I think you should count it, but the Sting hologram, which is just such a 90s thing that's like almost has this shroud of mystery around it, based on, was it in the packs? Was it a case hit? Was it a dealer incident? Like, we don't know. But just iconic set. And you and Paul, you guys are still keeping track of some of these numbers, and
we are
a little bit,
which is surprising. You go to Paul will tell you, even to this day, the #1 viewed price page on his website is WCW Impel. Over, by far, eclipses the 82-83 All-Stars, eclipses any Chrome set. By far, it's the Impel set, for whatever weird reason, gets more views than any other page on his website.
And I've said this too, and maybe you have a different experience than I do, but I get your opinion on it. When I was a kid and I was going through the card shops, say like mid 90s, looking for basketball, mainly looking for Shaq and Rodman and all the, packs, whatever I was doing, like whether it was a flea market, an LCS, it doesn't matter where it is. If there were cards, you could guarantee you were going to find some packs of 1991 Impel. And I, like, even to this day, like, you can go out and still find those packs out in boxes. You can find sealed boxes.
Sure. Yes, and I do keep the car washes and the local liquor markets packed full of these WCW Impel cards.
You just answered the question. So yeah, unbelievable that you can still be, pushing out print runs like these for a product that's 30 years old, but that's amazing.
If it ain't broke, why fix it?
That's true. Hopefully you can find replacement parts for your printer if that ever breaks. But moving on, we've already touched on the Fleer. Here's a new one. Actually, the next 3 that I have on the list are all modern. I know, for all of you people out there that think, oh, these 2 old curmudgeons, all they want to do is talk about vintage stuff. Nope, not true. We've got some modern stuff. 2019 All In. I mean, pretty self-explanatory. I think it's technically a Ring of Honor, but then it's the first AEW event before AEW, but then AEW bought Ring of Honor.
It's a 2018 set, though.
I've seen both years. Like I've seen people refer to it on both years.
Gotcha.
So I just put 2019. But again, Tony's calling me out for something I said that was probably wrong, and that's, hey, perspective. That's fine. I'm never afraid to be wrong. But I think it's interesting the popularity that we've seen on this. Like, you remember there was a huge run on these, like people.
Oh yeah.
And still to this day, like it seems like people want the set, but then they don't want to pay the price that it's going for, or they like just want singles, so they don't want to buy the complete set, so they'll go like buy singles from a set that someone's broke up and then get it signed or what have you. Like it's kind of all over the place. And there are people who are like, well, this technically this isn't the first AEW because it doesn't say AEW, and there's a lot of stuff behind it. Then there's is this the MJF rookie? Is the MJF rookie in the Limitless stuff? Is it in something else? Like it's just interesting set and a lot of stuff surrounding this set. But
let's also point out about this set, it's not even the rarest of indie card sets. Not even by a long shot.
Oh, no.
We have so many of these indie card sets. There's a print run of alleged print run. We don't want to talk about that. I have a whole different conversation about alleged print runs.
You would with your Impel stuff you got.
And plus I actually have, I have facts to back up my claims about particular card sets that actually are way beyond what their alleged print run was.
Right.
So Hammerstone. Unlike other card sets where there's 100, 150, 200, some cases 300. Hell, let's even take a couple of those GCW sets, a 600 and some odd number, 610 print run of the card sets done. No, not All In. There's 2,500 on the print run for All In. And yet it's still commanding as much money as it is as one of those card sets that has only 200 print runs.
Right.
Numbers wise, I think, well, there's more of it out there. I should be able to find it easier. Yet people aren't.
Yeah, and leads really good into this next topic, which is 2021 Upper Deck AEW first edition.
Yep.
Do you think that I still see a demand for the All In, but do you think that maybe the Upper Deck AEW stuff is kind of watered down?
I don't think it's watered down. I'm seeing people gravitating towards every type of release they put out. I mean, Upper Deck did something strategic on how they did it. I don't care about any controversies that anybody might want to say or bring up about how their print run is or what they did. The fact of the matter is, it was a highly anticipated card set. It came out. And you're talking, by the way, I'm not going to sit here and speak like I'm some AEW mark, because I have never watched a single episode of AEW in my life. Okay.
Very transparent. I love it.
I'm just letting you know that I'm a fan of what I see highlight wise, and again, like everything else, I treat it like Sports Center, so I just kind of go and get all my highlights. There was a lot of buildup to this release. It lived up to the buildup, even though the box prices became a controversy. And boy, don't you guys wish you're paying those box prices now? Not so bad compared to Prism now, is it? It's just it had a lot of buildup to it.
Yeah.
And it lived up to that buildup because it brought a lot of people into the hobby who had never collected before, whether it be a divide of WWE versus AEW, don't care. All I care about is in the hobby, it brought eyeballs on our hobby. And they put out hobby, then they put out blaster boxes, then they put out, now it's all on through the e-packs.
That's been huge. I'm shocked at how big of a response that's been.
And the e-packs proved to be a thing because it was smart. Like, trade in all of your digital copy based stuff and you'll get rewarded for other things, and you have achievements. And that's the way I think was smart to collect, to get people involved in digital, to come in and it's like, hey, I want physical, tangible cards. Okay, collect these digital ones that you can't and exchange something better that you can have as a digital card. Hey, if you pull an autograph card out of a pack, guess what? It's a real autograph card, and we'll send it to you too. Right. It creates a new market of people that I think like, wait a second, this isn't so bad after all. I think it's a beautiful thing. I love it, and I think it's the first one. And as long as we continue to keep seeing what Upper Deck puts out for AEW, and as long as AEW becomes a relevant thing in the wrestling card community, I mean, wrestling community, period, I think it's got a lot of potential for down the years to be, wow, I wish I was there when I would have gotten that. That's where the FOMO kicks in. You know, I'm gonna start buying up more stuff because I missed out on that first one, man. It's a good set. I think it's a typical great looking upper deck design. I mean, it's kind of hard to find an upper deck design that wasn't really good. I mean, there's always some winners and not so good winners, but on all in all, they make some good designs. So it's a great looking card set. And again, I'm not speaking like some kind of mark of AEW mark. We talked about this release for so long, for so much time. We knew what was coming and was coming and was coming, and it hit. We talked about it, how the market was reacting. Then the blast was coming. We talked about that. We're talking about digital a little bit now from that stuff. It's all been a hit after hit after hit for them, and I think it's the first. I don't care if it's mass produced. It's still limited compared to other sports, and I think it's got nothing to go but up. Really, I really do. We're keeping track of it with for Price Guide with Paul, and yes, box prices have flattened out right to where they're kind of at that $200, $250 price point. Sets came down like we thought they would once the blasters came out and digital came out, which people say, oh well, digital came out, so the prices go down. Why? You're gonna go out and how are you getting your base cards printed out? Because you can't. They're digital only.
Right.
You got to upgrade for golds. If anything goes down, the gold sets go down. But people seem to like the prices kind of went down. They were $75 to $100 or more asking for base sets, trying to recoup their box prices, I guess. And now they're selling around the $45 price point, $45 a piece, and lower in some cases.
I think my favorite thing about this set is just bringing the new eyeballs. Like
100%.
I do like watching AEW. I think it's one of the, kind of taking a sidebar here. I think it's one of the more entertaining wrestling products on TV. I don't necessarily, it's not, there's too much flip flying and super kicks for my style personally, but as an overall like presentation, it's fun. Like
if someone's not getting bladed by a tube, you don't care for it.
No, that's not true.
I'm kidding.
I want to
totally
see.
Kidding.
My favorite stuff is like seeing Bruiser Brody just kick people in the face, like just that hard hitting stuff. Like I love it, which we've seen with like Moxley versus Daniel Bryan or Bryan whatever his name is now.
We'll call him Sybil. Go ahead.
Anyway, we've both seen it, just the new people coming into the hobby through this product because they're such huge AEW fans. And then, as you said, on the flip side, we had a lot of people like, oh, it shouldn't be selling for this price, or those cards aren't worth it because, and that's their opinion. And I personally don't care. Like, I'm not collecting it. If you can see the video version somewhere behind there above the Dundee Award in between Turbo Man and Karrion Kross and Scarlet, there's a stack of hobby boxes that I have not opened, and I've sold a couple. And I don't plan on opening. It's because I know people are going to want these down the road. It's the first edition, as you said. People are going to want to go back and be like, "Oh man, I need to get those first edition ones."
And they're marked first edition,
right, right. And I just think this is one of those situations where it doesn't matter what I think about the set, the wrestling product, or any of that. It's what everybody else thinks. And sometimes I think the best. You collect what you love, collect what you like, right? But sometimes you have to stop and put your ego to the side and buy what other people like to collect, and really put some logic into your purchases, your plans, and what you're doing. That's kind of how I go about a lot of things. So I just food for thought out there if anybody's is not really into this next thing we're going to talk about. Great transition. That's what we do here. I think 2022 WWE Prism is going to be iconic.
So you're going. Our list consists of both things. I mean, 2021 Upper Deck was already pretty. I mean, that's barely new. And then we're talking, 2019 All In or 2018 All In, whatever one you want to call it. But it's 2018. I'm telling you right now.
I believe you.
It's this is something that hasn't even been released yet, and are we going to tack it on to an iconic list?
I am. This is also coming from the guy whose favorite set, and this will never change, is the 82-83 All-Stars. I 100% think this first Prism set, I almost want to say the prices are going to outpace anything else we've talked about.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you on that.
Gold Prisms, one of ones. Some of these, like, just the low numbered stuff, checklist is amazing.
Yep.
It's a home run product. And again, I know sticker autos, but we've
Again,
said it numerous
autos
times.
aren't driving this product.
No, and they haven't in the sports. They haven't in sports either. Like, it's all about the parallels, low numbered stuff, and about the checklist.
Yep.
So, but
it definitely has a potential to be on the iconic list like that. And I tend to agree with you that if everything plays out exactly how we've been talking about it and discussing, and there's no reason why it shouldn't, 10 years from now, people are going to be like, you want 10 grand for a box of prisms like that? I don't understand. Like, it's in those terms and thinking like that at an $800 price point or $1,000 price point, it's grossly undervalued already.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah. And now I understand if people are in a life situation where they're like, oh, that's too expensive, or I only ripped product. Like, I get it. Like that. Yep. Okay. Like, that logic makes sense if you're fully admitting that. But for the people who are just flat out saying it's too expensive, just no forward thinking on that whatsoever. No. They're not thinking ahead. But it's weird that we're going out and saying that this could be an iconic set before it's even released, but I got a good feeling about it.
Even with the your thoughts, even with the announcement about when we recorded this, obviously the Fanatics deal.
Yeah, I mean,
I think for me personally, I think that Fanatics deal only intensifies this product and how important it's going to be, because we have an actual we have a map. We know this is limited. It's already a limited sector of the trading card community is wrestling.
Right.
Now we're going to have Prism, which is, still, I don't care how much they print. Trust me, they're not printing as much WWE Prism as they would any other sport Prism. That's going to be limited. And now we know we have a limited time frame in which we can purchase Prism product.
On top of that, this is the first time that I can ever remember people specifically can be going in for prospecting, because they've got that rookie card shield. Yep. Panini has designated, and I think they got it right, that most of the people they're putting the rookie card logo on, most of them, that is technically their first card. We've got Braun Breaker being like one of the big names. I mean, when is the last time a wrestling product came out that had someone's first card in it that you knew people were actually going after that like they do in sports? It's super exciting to me, and I'm just excited to see what happens with it.
Me too. I probably won't be buying any boxes of any kind from that product, but I definitely be keeping my eyes on it. And if one falls in my lap or something comes by and I go, you know what, I'll take it. I might.
And real quick too, on speaking of that, just wait, like, this is going to be released in different versions. There's probably going to be blasters or hangers.
So many different variations of this product.
So just because you can't afford a hobby box, I still think it's going to be equally as important to go out and get the blasters or the packs or whatever you can find of this initial first release for WWE Prism. Just buy it, hang on to it, or buy it, sell it, and then buy something for your own collection. A lot of things to do, but just I think it's interesting that here I am picking the modern stuff, and I don't know me personally, but I think this show as a whole, I think maybe people think we tend to go on the vintage side of things or the older stuff. So putting my money where my mouth is, guys. I think this is going to be one of the biggest wrestling card sets ever.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't really think that I think we do a pretty decent job, and I hope that people who listen or watch the video version of this can let us know. I mean, I think we do a pretty decent job covering all eras of wrestling cards, really. I mean, we don't go back to pre-war type stuff and talk about that. I'd love to have somebody on a round table or something like that, or discuss even on our own individual channels, just like that, to talk about stuff to help educate not only myself, even though I do archive the information, and I did buy quite a bit of that stuff when I was collecting heavily. That's where all those a lot of stuff came from WTC with my personal collection. But I'd love to be able to have more information about that. But we do a pretty decent job, I think, across the board on covering what people consider vintage when it comes to like the 70s magazine type cards and the 82 All-Stars and everything up to the current stuff. We talk about all kinds of stuff. I mean, I really think we do.
We try.
We try. People think we don't. I want to know about it. I mean,
I just kind of get that vibe from some people I've talked to, like, it's but let's face it. I mean, in the hobby as a whole, it's generally a modern driven thing.
It is. It really is like that.
Like, And I've said it several times. I said it on this show, like from a wrestling perspective, I like the 80s and 90s stuff a little bit better, and the talents in the Wrestling All-Star set. That's not because I think, oh, the wrestling back then was so much better. Like, I fully understand that that's what I like, but things have to change and evolve, and that's kind of where we're at today. That's okay, no problem. Different perspectives, different, it's a buffet. Everybody's got to have different things. So that's what we try to do. Just bring in a variety of perspectives, variety of topics, variety of sets, hopefully a variety of entertainment. And yeah, that's what we're here to do, is just try to entertain you guys, get the information out there.
I am not your monkey.
Oh
I'm not your entertainment monkey.
Wait, do you have monkeys running the printing presses there? Are they the ones boxing up all that Impel stuff?
It is it's surprising how easy it is to train a monkey.
And on that note, let everybody know where they can find you.
They can find me and my employees and monkeys.
Don't disclose the location of the printing press.
Oh, of course I won't. I mean, it's surprising how much work can get done on bananas. You can find everything you want to know on at WrestlingTradingCards.com. At the bottom of every page is a link to all of our social media accounts. And if you have any comments or questions like that, want to direct anything to me directly, find any errors or have additions that need to be done for any checklist you come across. Hell, if you got images, I'm looking for all low number images. If you got one-on-ones, I would love to have flat, high-res scans, not digital with your cell phone type pictures, but some kind of a scanned image of your one-on-ones, because we are actively adding images to all the checklists now like they used to be. I got Chuckster working his little fingers soft to the bone. He's doing such a fantastic job doing all the stuff on the back end of for the photos. But yeah, I just contact us that way using the contact us link at the site. And yeah, I'm open to anything now. So I used to be like, when we first started recording these things, like no one ever could messages me, man. They all talk to you. No one talks to me. And now it's like, you know what? I don't care. Come talk to me. I'm openly welcoming you. Come talk to me. You got a question? You want something like that? I don't know. I'm just gonna send you to Zhan anyways.
I do the same thing. If I don't know, I send somebody to Tony or send somebody to Chuckster or Paul. Or
exactly. So,
all right, you can find everything I'm doing. Let's see. Wrestling with Cards on YouTube. That's the main hub. That's where most of my stuff is kind of directed towards. That's where I started everything. At Zhan Morning on all social platforms. Check the link. The easiest thing to do on top of that, if it's easier for you listening, check the show notes to this. Everything Tony's talked about, everything I've talked about, everything we're involved in is in those show note links. They're both on Linktree, so you can just click and see all the different links we're doing. Please support us however that is, whether that's the first thing we ask you to do is subscribe, because if you're already listening, it takes 2 seconds, hit that subscribe button. Leave us a 5-star review if you think this show's good or if you like all of our other shows. Tell somebody about the show. Say, hey, do you like wrestling? Do you like wrestling cards? Come listen to these guys. They're putting out free content, audio form, video form, all over the place. And yeah, you should support these guys if you like wrestling cards, or you're getting into
and you're not sick
cards.
of us yet. I mean, I'm sick of us, but you don't have to be sick of us.
Yeah, I'm sick. I'm sick of being wrong sometimes. Tony calling me out for being wrong. I can't be wrong. I'm always right.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Rule number 1, I'm always right. Rule number 2, when I'm wrong, see rule number 1.
Man, I'm glad I'm not one of those monkeys working for you over there with
bananas, dude. Bananas. Telling you, it's Keto Monkey's heart.
Oh man. All right, we better shut this down. Thank you guys for listening again. Thank you for all the support we get. Reach out if you got any questions. DMs are open for both of us. I'm sure we've got our email addresses out there. Please subscribe if you're liking this, and until next time, enjoy wrestling and keep collecting cards. We'll see you
Out of here.